Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be bringing you a spoilery review of The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano. The Glass Spare is a young adult fantasy novel about a girl named Will who, upon turning about 16 years old, discovers that she has the power to turn people that she touches into glass, like gemstones, that kind of thing. This follows Will through her discovery of her powers, subsequent flight from her family's kingdom, and what she does next. Oh boy, I have so many thoughts about this book. I really wanted to like this book, but I didn't. And here's why. Let's go ahead and go through the book step by step. I thought that the opening act of the book, for one thing, was really strong. We get to know a lot about Will and her brother Gertie, who are both kind of the misfits of their siblings. Will because she's the girl and her father doesn't really care about her, and Gertie because when he was young, he got an illness that leaves him with like a disability and just chronic illness. He gets sick very often. He's a genius. I think that it is a good representation of chronic illness because it does it in a realistic way that isn't pitying or magical. So it isn't just like, oh, poor Gertie, like everyone feels sorry for him because he has this disability. But it also isn't like, I have magic powers because I'm sick all the time. I can do special things. Like, he can do special things because he's a genius alchemist, but it isn't any like weird disability related tropes. So Will and Gertie are really bonded close together, and it's actually Gertie who first figures out that Will can turn living things to gems by her magical touch. And then because a series of various family issues happen, people think that Will is dead, and Gertie also thinks that Will is dead, but really she just has to go on the run to like get away from her father because she's worried that he's going to use her as like a spy, weaponize her, basically exploit her ability to turn things into gems. Right about the moment when Will decides that she has to like get out of the kingdom to escape her father is where this book just sort of starts to go. This is maybe like 100 pages into a 400-page book. So the first 100 pages, it seems like it's a fairly standard sort of like, you're the princess, but you're not like the other princesses. You're just strong and powerful and you can kick butt and you have powers. But then I feel like the story just really lost its narrative thrust because Will spends so much of the like middle half of the book. So it's like one quarter of the book, middle half, final quarter of the book. The middle half of the book just unconscious on various ships and in various people's houses, and it's really hard to like write a good story from the perspective of somebody that is unconscious all the time. It just wasn't very compelling or interesting, and I felt like we lost a lot of the chance to really build up her character. To further complicate that, at that point, Gertie is left behind in the palace thinking that, oh, my sister is dead and like my brother that nobody likes is going to start taking over the kingdom. But nothing really happened there either. I thought that they didn't really do a good enough job of developing the sort of evil brother's character. He just went from being like someone that everyone kind of knew was evil but no one really talked about to being someone that was like super evil. So he just went from a non-entity to I'm so cruel, it's unbelievable, as did several of the characters in this book, like Will and Gertie's father. Everyone talks about how he's just sort of emotionally cold and not really invested in any of his children except for his heir. And then he goes on like a rampage killing children. So he goes from not very interested in his family to, oh my god, he's a monster. And there are a couple other characters that do the same thing in this book. It just made the whole thing not very consistent and not very believable. Another gripe that I had with this book was the sort of like love interesty thing that happens with Will. I don't really know what I want to call it because I'm not even sure if it can be called love. So there's this boy that she meets while she's like unconscious on the ship or whatever. His name is Loom, like the sewing loom, and he's with this other girl and they have like this child with them, and Will just sort of thinks, oh, like they're just, you know, people on this ship. I need to get on their ship to help me find the person that can cure me from my glass Midas touch kind of thing. And there's like, it's written that there's chemistry between the two, Will and Loom, but it doesn't read like that. So the author keeps telling us, like, Will feels attracted to him, but it doesn't come across in the writing. Then, afterwards, like, as we enter the final act of the book, we find out that Loom and the girl that he's been with on the ship, the other girl, are actually married to each other, but he's been kissing and like flirting with Will this whole time. His wife hasn't said anything, and they're also all like 17 years of age or younger, and the wife already has a kid, and I think it was just too much happening at once for me to be able to take the love story really seriously at all or even care about it. Instead, I was just like, what the hell is happening? Because there's this guy who's 17 years old who has somehow been busy enough to have gotten a wife and been married, but neither he nor his wife nor Will feel like any compunction about, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to write a story about marital infidelity, make sure that the people that are married in your book aren't literal teenagers. Just a thought. So this book, I ultimately kind of hate read the last 75 pages of it or so because I really just wanted it to be over. I did actually want to finish the book because I knew that I wanted to review it for the channel, and I didn't feel right reviewing a book that I didn't finish unless it was truly egregious. But I really wanted to like this book, and I think it had a lot of promise in the first like quarter of the book, but the rest of it just didn't live up to the expectations that it created for itself, and it certainly didn't live up to the hype that I've been hearing about it. I've been hearing about this book all over social media, which is why I really wanted to read it. I was like, all right, this sounds a little tropey, but whatever. I like tropes as much as the next person. I love my YA fantasy tropes. Can't say that I would recommend this one. Sorry. All right, that's going to do it for my review of The Glass Spare. Comment down below if you have any thoughts about this video, about the book itself, whether you've read it. Is this going to influence your desire to read it in any way, shape, or form? Hopefully I'm not like treading on anyone's toes here, but I just wanted to try and review it as honestly as possible. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.